So the new hires coming in are not coming in at the same level that folks were under the previous system. And the steps, it used to be under the GS system, there were steps. Every year, every couple of years, people had a predictable increase in their salaries. And the new system doesn't quite work that way. Additionally, we negotiated under that contract at the time for our AF specialized folks not to be capped out. They're not topped at the top of the band, which is a great benefit for them, but it also contributes to the disparity in pay. So we're very aware that a lot of folks are wanting this addressed. I will say that unfortunately, one of the things we see with the level of new hires who are dissatisfied with this is a number of them are not joining PASS because of their dissatisfaction with this pay plan. And in my mind, that's exactly the wrong response. And I say that because as a non-member, you aren't in a position to vote on or ratify any agreement. You're also not in a position to provide direct and meaningful input to what the priorities of our negotiators are at the table. So again, for the folks who this is a concern for, my advice is, join PASS and get involved. Make your voice heard. Make the contract folks, the folks who are down there negotiating on your behalf, understand how important this is. And also educate yourself about the realities of how the system works and what the limitations are in any negotiation as far as our ability to affect change, particularly in an environment, an economic environment like the one we're negotiating in now.
So we can say that a lot of this has come out of the JLT, this atmosphere.
Well, I can't say that the contract negotiation is a direct result of the JLT, because certainly they're not in control of it. I can say that the improved climate that is a result of the collaborative efforts of the JLT has certainly helped to shift the climate with the LR relationship. So it's provided an environment where interest-based bargaining is possible.
So I understand that you guys just recently met.
It was a good meeting. We covered a lot of ground in the week. We generally meet once every 4 to 6 weeks, but we covered the safety stand down that's coming up, which is very important. We're really looking forward to having the second level pairs involved in that directly in the field. We talked about following up from our January meeting where we had all of the second level, and the second level, of course, are the district reps and the district managers, came to Atlanta for sort of the next phase of the JLT. So we started off for the first year where it was just the PASS leadership and the ATO leadership, Terry Bristol and all of her direct reports, and we're methodically moving that further out into the field. Eventually, the eventual goal will be that the first levels will also be involved.
So it sounds like PASS is really getting involved in it, at a national level with management as far as developing stuff that affects us and whatnot, correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The JLT has taken on some significant issues that directly affect the membership, the entire bargaining unit. Safety being first and foremost. We're very focused on making sure everyone has a safe working environment. We were also involved in other areas like metrics, for example. We have a team that's looking at the metrics, which is how we measure success in the agency, and are the measures we're using.
Now, when you say metrics, you gotta dumb it down for me a little bit. It's a lot of numbers and whatnot, so you gotta tell me what that affects.
Okay, so that's basically when the agency reports whether they're successful or not, how they measure that, and some of the things that this team is looking at are we measuring the right things to gauge success by? What is the work we're doing, the frequency of the repairs we're doing, all these sorts of things play into the metrics for success of the organization. And they're looking at everything.
Is there anything that we can do to give input to help out with this process as far as the JLT and what's going on?
Well, we actually have teams that include folks from the field. The metrics team actually has somebody from your chapter on there. Mr. Craig Keaton is one of our.
Craig, yeah.
He's one of our national players on that, so he has direct input. So one of the things I would say is when the team reaches out, respond. If you have input, make sure your representatives know what your input is in terms of metrics. If you have concerns about what's happening today or suggestions about how to make it better, now's a really good opportunity to get that out there, since they're in the process of formulating a new set.
And this would include like any of the topics for the JLT that you're
absolutely
getting input in?
Absolutely. We would really like to hear from folks on. We put out JLT newsletters, several videos things of that nature. One of the things we're constantly talking about is how do we communicate what we're doing effectively to the folks who are out there on both sides of labor and management, and then get feedback from that. Are we focusing on the right things? Is our communication vehicles, are our communication vehicles effective? Is anyone reading the JLT newsletter? So we're really looking for feedback on all of those things, including all of the work that we're doing.
So it sounds like we have a lot of opportunities here on a national level, and we're actually getting our guys actively involved here, working with FAA and such. You had talked a little bit about we have international involvement as well, which surprised me.
We do, not related to the JLT, but
Right.
PASS is involved in IFATSIA, which is an international association of electronic technicians, basically people who do the same work our members do all over the world.
And are they their own organization, or are they?
They're their own organization. They are related to or associated with ICAO, which is the International Civil Aeronautics Organization, which is a subset of the United Nations. So it's the international aviation community. It's very interesting. In fact, my assistant Chuck Siragusa holds the position as the director of the Americas for this group. So he's very involved in the decisions of what's important for the future. I know one of the very exciting things they're working on is the next generation of electronics technicians around the world, the specialists who do the work we do. Are they coming into the jobs with the appropriate training? What do they need before they get to the jobs? What do we need to make sure that the skills are at a equal around the world, that that the talent is there to do the work that we're doing.
And Chuck's also one of our negotiators for Region 1.
He is. Chuck is also one of the negotiators for, yes, in the union you wear many hats.
With his involvement internationally, it sounds like Chuck's the right guy to have on the negotiation team, especially with his previous negotiation experience. It gives him a good insight, I would imagine.
When you're talking about what is the type of work we're doing, he can bring to the table not just the type of work we're doing today, but where is the international aviation community headed in the future,
Right.
and how that might affect not only our work, but compensation and other things like that.
And Ken Harris as well. I mean, Ken's involved on a national level as well.
Ken is actually. He's the other person that I put forward from Region 1. We were looking for a specific skill set of folks. When Tom Brantley assembled the team or asked for input from the regional vice presidents, he had very specific requests, and he was looking for folks who had experience previously negotiating national contracts. And of course, both Ken and Chuck have led national negotiating teams, Ken in 2000, and Chuck was our ATO lead for the most recent attempt with the agency, where we were able to avoid the imposition of the work rules.
And when we talk about the contract, about what happened in 2005, I was wondering if you could take like 2 to 3 minutes real quick and give us a brief synopsis.
What happened in 2005 was that the agency came to the table without a real sincere desire to reach a collective bargaining agreement. They knew that they had some advantage in the law. They were able to get a date by which the negotiations had to end, and they actually attempted to override our ratification process. So what they wanted really to do was to run out the clock on the negotiation time frame, because the law allowed them to impose their last best offer should they not get to the table or come to an agreement by the end of the allotted time. What we were able to do was to, at the end of the day, seeing what was coming, seeing that there was really no good faith effort at that time, we accepted all of their proposals, but told them we were going to send this out to ratification, and that we were not going to advise the members to vote for it. We were going to, in fact, advise them to vote against it, which they did resoundingly. 98% voted it down, and that had the effect of starting the entire process again and delaying it until the political climate was more advantageous to negotiate a contract.